right hand side, if someone was here to commemorate a family member
Wow.
or a relative who died here.
So what time of the day does the battle commence? Was it?
If I may, I'll answer all your questions,
Okay.
especially that one, because we will go to a crater.
Okay.
We'll stand at the foot of one big hole in the ground, and
Right.
then I'll tell you how the timing. Here, I just want you to have a look at the geography.
Yeah.
And you see that why Plumer realized that he needed a diversion. Something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this would be slaughter. This would be another battle of the Somme.
Yeah.
By the way, the church is over there.
Yeah.
That's the village where I live.
Okay.
I said it was only 5 kilometers.
Yeah.
The two spires you see over there,
Yeah.
Armentières.
Oh.
Armentières was just far enough behind the line. It was relatively safe,
Yeah.
and also safe enough to have a field hospital. When the Anzacs evacuated Gallipoli, it was December 1915, they returned to their base in Northern Africa, Egypt, spent the winter there, and it was only starting March, April 1916 that they began to come to Western Europe. And they were then given a sector of 13 kilometers where until then the Indian Expeditionary Force had been for 2 years. So they swapped. The Indians went to Egypt and Anzacs came to this sector. And that stretched from Armentières
Yeah.
till Bayal. You can't see Bayal here, but we'll see it later. 13 kilometers, that was their sector,
Right.
also known as their nursery. Why nursery? Well, after every battle, where did they return to? To rest, to reform the nursery, where there was a big field hospital, of course. And it is why near Armentières you will find, today we can see a cemetery, and the cemeteries there have more New Zealanders buried than anywhere else.
Wow.
Because so many died of wounds days, weeks,
Yeah.
months later.
Right.
And then obviously they're buried. So hospital cemeteries. But other than that, also there was entertainment for soldiers.
Right. Of course.
Because see, after 6 weeks in the lines, the soldiers had a week off. And those who lived in the south of England, well, from here you can go to the English Channel, the ports, you cross the English Channel, and you're home for 3-4 days, and you can make it back in time
Yeah.
for another tour of duty.
Yeah.
When you came from Australia or New Zealand, you couldn't go home
No.
in a week's time. So what did you do? Well, you spent it in France.
Yeah.
You had money in your pocket, you didn't know if you would live the next week or the next month or the next 2 months. So you spent it, right?
Yeah.
And the mademoiselles knew that, of course. And so that is how the song was born, Mademoiselle from Armentières.
Oh, right.
Never heard the song?
No. Oh, no. I don't know.
Look that up when
yeah,
you have a minute.
Yeah.
It was a very popular song amongst the soldiers because the soldiers believed that the mademoiselles took better care of them
Yeah.
than the officers did. They cared more for soldiers than the
Right.
generals did.
Yeah.
See? And they had plenty of spicy little verses in the song, which was their way to express the frustration about the generals, orders that didn't make sense, the food that was lasted nothing, the boots they didn't have, the misery in trenches and lice. So but when they were on a one-to-one base with an officer, you can't say that, can you?
No.
But when you're 1,000 man, a battalion, singing a song, oh, you can get away with a lot more. Right?
Yeah.
So that is what the song was. And when you have time, you Google Mademoiselle from Armentières, you'll find some pretty spicy versions.
I want to have a look at these bunkers.
Interesting. So we see a German bunker, and it's interesting because, like I said, in World War I, the artillery was the main weapon.
Yeah.
The planes we had, see them as ridiculous. They were timber boxes with canvas over the wings. They couldn't fly very fast. They couldn't fly very high. They couldn't carry bombs, or not least not heavy bombs. Very often the cockpit was open. It is why pilots were known to always have the best jackets,
Yeah, right.
the best hats, the best gloves, the best boots. And of course, it was
freezing.
Yeah, it was freezing out there, right?
Yeah.
So the main weapon was the artillery.
Yeah.
When it was raining shell, in other words, when we shelled the German lines, when it was raining shell, the Germans didn't stay in their trenches, you know.
Yeah.
Just wait. No, they went for that. The bunkers. You see, that were shelters. And the roof is about 1 meter thick. You can see that. That is all solid steel reinforced concrete.
Yeah.
So when they were under fire, they went for their bunker, fitted out, and they stayed there until the barrage lifted. And then they returned to their post because they knew when it was quiet, that's when they come.
Yeah.
Right? And then you race to your post, back to your rifles or machine gun, and then because you know they're coming.
Yeah.
That's basically how it works. So that is interesting to see an original German bunker here.
Mm.
You can clearly tell solid roof. Huh?
Yeah.
But all this is steel reinforced concrete. Yeah? Massive. And then that's what the other tour guide referred at. What they did here, they have a fire step. In other words, the rifleman, they could use this
Oh
as
wow.
a breastwork.
Yeah, right.
And so they did. That's why you bring that fake or that replica of the rifle with him
Yeah.
to show the students. And the reason why the roofs were flat on the top is that very often the German machine guns, they were sitting on top of the roof of the bunker.
Right.
And they fired away. When you think that a machine gun has a range of 4 kilometers
Yeah.
and it can fire 600 rounds a minute,
Yeah.
imagine the damage
Yeah.
you can do with a
Mm.
machine gun.
Yeah.
That is, and the Germans had their machine guns posted so that the fields of fire were interlocking.
Yeah.
There was no way you could get through this.
No.
It was a formidable defense system. It is why the war lasted so long.
Yeah.
The problem had been told or described very accurately by a brilliant man. I know you don't love him all that much in New Zealand. His name is Winston Churchill. He had been the first Lord of the Admiralty. He had masterminded in that